I really wished I didn't have to say this, but it has got to be the ultimate disappointment in all of aerospace. The Boeing Starliner has once again caused frustration by feigning confidence, despite facing issues with its official missions and new financial setbacks. In contrast, SpaceX has made another significant stride showing off its continuous reliability with its upcoming Dragon mission, further highlighting Boeing's inferiority and impending spiral towards obsolestion. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, China is preparing for another bold play by preparing to launch its previously exploded rocket again. It's been nearly 60 days since Starliner docked with the ISS, and despite extensive testing and evaluations, the spacecraft has yet to return. In the face of ongoing scrutiny and criticism from the aerospace industry, Boeing remains optimistic. Recently, on X, Boeing tweeted, "We remain confident in Starliner and its ability to safely return to Earth with crew based on abundance of testing conducted by our teams and NASA in space and on the ground." The tweet included an image detailing 8 notable activities related to the testing of Starliner's propulsion system and associated systems. Boeing also provided a detailed update on their continued efforts. Basically, Boeing asserted, "We continue to support NASA's requests for additional testing, data analysis, and reviews to affirm the spacecraft's safe undocking and landing capabilities. Our confidence is based on this extensive and valuable testing from both Boeing and NASA." Boeing also reported that testing has confirmed 27 of 28 RCS thrusters are fully operational, with the propulsion system maintaining redundancy and stable helium levels. The data also supports root cause assessments for previous issues with helium and thrusters, as well as flight rationale for Starliner's safe return with crew. In contrast, NASA's recent actions suggest a potential shift in plans. Estimates indicate that there is a 50% or higher chance that astronauts might return on a Dragon spacecraft. NASA official Josh Finch commented to Ars Technica, "NASA is evaluating all options for the return of agency astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams from the International Space Station as safely as possible. No decisions have been made, and the agency will continue to provide updates on its planning." As we await further updates, it seems Boeing may be attempting to bolster confidence in Starliner, particularly with NASA as a key stakeholder. The effectiveness of their measures and whether they truly address the root cause of the delays remain to be seen. Despite Boeing's assurances that Starliner's RCS thrusters and propulsion system are functioning correctly, the spacecraft's return date remains undetermined. Boeing's recent updates and ongoing activities appear to be focused on future evaluations rather than immediate resolutions. The postponement of the Starliner 1 mission to August 2025 further suggests that current efforts might not be addressing the core issues effectively. Do you agree with this perspective? Please respond with yes or no in the comment section down below. Don't forget to also like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on SpaceX's progress. On the financial front, Boeing is facing additional challenges. In a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, on July 31st, Boeing reported a further $125 million charge related to Starliner. This charge is attributed to delays in the Crew Flight Test, or CFT, mission, highlighting ongoing financial pressures amid the spacecraft's continued delays. The recent $125 million charge is likely just a fraction of Boeing's broader financial troubles related to Starliner. Since 2024 alone, the spacecraft has faced multiple delays and ongoing issues, contributing to mounting losses. The current challenges in returning astronauts underscore the broader difficulties Boeing has encountered with Starliner. This recent loss is part of a pattern of significant financial setbacks for Boeing. Last year, Starliner faced parachute and wiring issues that delayed its mission to 2024, resulting in a $257 million loss in the second quarter of 2023. Boeing's financial struggles have been accumulating since 2019, a particularly challenging year with a $489 million loss from uncrewed test flight issues. Including the latest $125 million charge, Boeing's total losses now amount to $1.6 billion. Even outgoing CEO Dave Calhoun acknowledged the company's difficulties, stating, "Clearly, the results this quarter are disappointing. We expect the fixed-price development programs to remain bumpy until we complete the development phase and transition to mature long-term franchise programs. Boeing is currently facing significant challenges in securing future fixed-price contracts due to its recent performance. Calhoun remarked, "Based on the lessons we've learned from undertaking fixed-price development programs, we have maintained stringent contracting discipline for all future opportunities. However, this approach aligns with NASA's current contracting practices, potentially exacerbating Boeing's difficulties." In addition to financial strains, Boeing is on the brink of further upheaval with the impending departure of CEO Calhoun, who will be succeeded by Robert Kelly Ortberg, a seasoned aerospace engineer. Leadership transitions often bring about substantial changes which may further complicate Boeing's situation. A successful uncrewed flight remains one of Boeing's few accomplishments at this stage. The completion of the current crew test mission is critical for Boeing to obtain certification for subsequent phases, including NASA's Commercial Crew Program missions. Furthermore, the delay of the Starliner 1 mission is attributed not only to issues with CFT-1, but also to the need to coordinate with the Dragon Crew 11 launch schedule. This delay underscores Boeing's struggles in keeping pace with competitors, specifically SpaceX. The delay in the Starliner 1 mission will likely have significant financial repercussions for Boeing. The additional costs incurred could push the total losses associated with the Starliner program to $2 billion or more. This continued financial strain underscores the challenges Boeing faces as it struggles to meet deadlines and fulfill contractual obligations. With the International Space Station slated for retirement by 2030, time is running out for Boeing to deliver on the Starliner program. The recent delay in the Starliner 1 mission further compresses the available timeframe, placing additional pressure on the company. The possibility of cancellation for the Starliner project is increasingly realistic, especially in light of NASA's budgetary constraints. As NASA's annual budget is expected to decrease in the coming years, the agency has already made aggressive cuts to several projects, including the Chandra X-ray Observatory and the Viper lunar rover. Given the ongoing issues and disappointments associated with Starliner, it faces an uphill battle to justify continued investment. While canceling a fixed contract project is complex and politically charged, significant failures and mounting costs can lead to reconsideration of such commitments. Do you believe NASA should cancel the Starliner program? If so, comment "cancel it" to share your opinion. In contrast to the ongoing challenges faced by Boeing's Starliner, SpaceX has recently made significant strides with its Dragon program. On August 1st, NASA announced the crew for SpaceX's Crew 10 mission to the International Space Station, marking an important milestone for the program. The Crew 10 mission will feature NASA astronauts Anne McClain and Nicole Ayers, who will serve as commander and pilot respectively. Joining them will be Japan's Takuya Inishi and Kirill Peskov from the Russian space agency Roscosmos, both of whom will act as mission specialists. Notably, this will be the first spaceflight for Ayers and Peskov, while McClain and Onishi will be embarking on their second space missions. As the 10th operational mission under SpaceX's Commercial Crew Program, Crew 10 will utilize the Falcon 9 rocket and Crew Dragon capsule, continuing SpaceX's track record of successful ISS missions. Currently, SpaceX is executing its 8th contracted long-duration ISS mission and is preparing for the launch of Crew 9, scheduled for no earlier than August 18th. With Crew 10 set for early next year and Starliner 1's schedule pushed to the latter half of 2025, SpaceX's Dragon is poised to further solidify its position in the ISS mission lineup, potentially widening the gap between it and Boeing's Starliner. Next, we turn to an update from China, where the country remains resolute in its plans to launch the Tianlong-3 rocket, despite a recent failure. On June 30th, Chinese commercial launch firm Space Pioneer faced a major setback during a static fire test of its Tianlong-3 kerosene liquid oxygen rocket. The test was marred by an anomaly that caused the booster section to dislodge from the static fire platform, then fall from several meters and explode. The resulting shockwaves impacted nearby areas, though fortunately there were no reports of loss of life or significant property damage. Despite this incident, Space Pioneer appears determined to proceed with Tianlong-3's first launch. This approach is highly risky given the issues encountered during the test. Typically, such failures would necessitate additional testing to ensure the rocket's reliability before moving forward. Chinese regulations, which are intended to enforce safety standards, currently do not fully address the risks posed by such incidents. The leniency in these regulations have enabled Space Pioneer to seek a path toward resuming their launch schedule. The prospect of rocket launches in populated areas understandably causes concern among the Chinese public. Ensuring safety should be the paramount consideration, and it is crucial for stronger measures to be implemented to prevent further incidents and protect lives. You know what I find strange? It seems that while Dragon is thriving, the road to the ISS has been riddled with challenges for everyone else lately. The cargo spacecraft SpaceX launched just yesterday to resupply the ISS is now encountering problems. Is there a curse following in Starliner's wake? Not to worry, SpaceX is pushing ahead with its crew missions to the ISS this year, highlighting an exciting new partnership between the US and India. And let's not forget Rocket Lab, which has just launched its latest Electron mission. Following the recent incident, Falcon 9 has resumed its pivotal role in the aerospace sector with renewed vigor. On August 4th at 11:02 a.m. EDT, SpaceX's Falcon 9 successfully launched from SLC-40, carrying Northrop Grumman's Signis spacecraft on its 21st cargo mission to the International Space Station, designated NG-21. This mission is notable as it marks the second launch of Cygnus aboard Falcon 9 following the NG-20 flight earlier this year. This transition represents Northrop Grumman's shift from using the Antares rocket to Falcon 9 for Cygnus missions. Approximately 8 minutes after launch, the first stage of the rocket executed a successful landing at Cape Canaveral's Landing Zone 1, achieving its 10th flight milestone. Meanwhile, the second stage continued its trajectory, and about 15 minutes after liftoff, the Cygnus spacecraft was deployed and proceeded on its mission to the ISS. The initial phase of the mission, with Falcon 9 at the helm, proceeded without issues, reinforcing SpaceX's reputation as a leading launch service provider. However, subsequent challenges arose with the Cygnus spacecraft. In a post-launch update, NASA officials reported, shortly after launch, the spacecraft missed its first scheduled burn at 11:44 a.m. EDT due to a delay in burn sequencing. Known as the Targeted Altitude Burn, or TB1, it was rescheduled for 12:34 p.m. EDT but was aborted shortly after ignition due to a slightly low initial pressure state. At this time, there is no indication of any problem with the engine itself. Additionally, the mission faced delays as it was originally planned for August 3rd, but was rescheduled to August 4th due to adverse weather conditions. While issues during space missions are not uncommon, the situation with Cygnus is noteworthy. The spacecraft had successfully completed 20 previous cargo missions without incident. The recent problems occurring in the wake of Starliner's arrival at the ISS and other global challenges with rocket systems may suggest a broader trend of difficulties affecting space missions. This mission is also indirectly linked to the Starliner situation. The Cygnus spacecraft is carrying approximately 3,720 kilograms or 8,200 pounds of cargo, which includes 1,560 kilos of vehicle hardware, 1,220 kilos of scientific investigations, and 1,021 kilograms of crew supplies. This cargo is crucial for the ISS, especially given the delay of the Starliner crew flight test, which has left astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams relying on the station's emergency reserve food supplies. For those skeptical of any intangible influences, the tangible impact of these delays on the ISS is evident. Regarding the Cygnus spacecraft, the pre-launch plan anticipated its arrival at the ISS on August 6th at approximately 3 in the morning Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Despite the recent thruster issues, NASA has confirmed that Cygnus remains at a safe altitude, and Northrop Grumman engineers are devising a new burn and trajectory plan. The team aims to achieve the spacecraft's original capture time, which is still scheduled for 3:10 a.m. EDT on August 6th. Upon arrival, Cygnus is expected to remain docked with the ISS until January 2025, after which it will depart and re-enter Earth's atmosphere. I sincerely hope that the mission proceeds smoothly, allowing the cargo to reach the ISS and meet the needs of the astronauts, including the 2 currently on the station due to Starliner's delays. Please share your best wishes for the mission in the comments section down below. Don't forget to also like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on SpaceX's developments. Now, Regarding Boeing and the Starliner program, it may be time for a critical reassessment of this costly initiative. The ongoing issues with Starliner not only adversely affect Boeing, but also have broader implications for a range of related activities, both current and future. Initially conceived to support NASA in operating the International Space Station, or the ISS for short, Starliner has struggled to fulfill its intended role effectively. Instead, it has been a source of repeated complications and delays. The continued challenges faced by Starliner raise important questions about the feasibility and value of persisting with this program. The delays and technical difficulties have not only disrupted NASA's plans, but also have affected the broader spaceflight ecosystem, potentially impacting other missions and projects that rely on timely and reliable crew transport services. Given these persistent issues, it may be prudent for NASA to consider canceling the Starliner project and redirecting its focus and resources toward more reliable alternatives. The Dragon spacecraft, developed by SpaceX, has demonstrated consistent performance and reliability, making it a viable candidate to ensure the safe return and transport of astronauts, including Wilmore and Williams. Reevaluating Starliner's future and potentially phasing out this project could help mitigate further disruptions and optimize NASA's efforts to maintain a robust and effective human spaceflight program. Do you agree with this perspective? Let me know in the comments section down below. In addition to the Signis mission, there's exciting news from the ISS front. On the 2nd of August, the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, announced that 2 members of its astronaut corps, Shubhanshu Shukla and Prasant Balakrishnan Nair, will travel to the US in the first week of August to commence training for their upcoming crewed Dragon mission to the ISS. 2 Indian astronauts are set to begin their training at NASA's Johnson Space Center, with one of them scheduled to fly to the ISS on a forthcoming private astronaut mission. According to the Indian Space Research Organization, Shubhanshu Shukla has been assigned to the Axiom Space AX-4 mission to the ISS, with Prasant Balakrishnan Nair designated as his backup. This announcement is among the first to confirm the participation of an Indian astronaut on the AX-4 mission. On July 24th, Jitendra Singh, the Indian government minister responsible for space, confirmed in a written response to the Lok Sabha, the lower house of India's parliament, that Indian astronauts will soon commence training for the AX-4 mission. Singh stated, ISRO is pursuing a joint mission with NASA to the ISS, in which one astronaut from ISRO will undertake space travel. This is a collaborative effort involving ISRO, NASA, and the private entity Axiom Space. ISRO has recently signed a spaceflight agreement with Axiom Space for this joint mission to the ISS. Currently, AX-4 is scheduled for November this year. If all goes well, it will be the 4th crewed mission to the ISS and its 5th crewed mission overall of Dragon this year. Dragon launched AX-3 and Crew 8, and they will launch Crew 9 and the Polaris Dawn that is not related to the ISS in the near future. Regarding cargo missions, Dragon launched a CRS-30 mission earlier this year and is planning 2 more missions in September and December. This shows Dragon's great contribution to the ISS, and it also reflects Dragon's superior performance over Starliner, with Starliner having yet to return in a crew test mission. Next, we turn to Rocket Lab, which made significant progress last week with its Electron mission. At 12:39 p.m. EDT on August 2nd, an Electron rocket launched from Rocket Lab's New Zealand facility, successfully placing a high-resolution Earth-observing radar satellite into orbit. The satellite named Strix is a synthetic aperture radar, or SAR, developed by the Japanese company Synspective. Strix is designed to provide detailed imagery capable of detecting millimeter-level changes in the Earth's surface. Originally scheduled for July 30th, the mission titled Alpha 1 for Al was delayed by a few days due to adverse weather conditions. Despite the delay, the mission proceeded as planned. Approximately 57 minutes after liftoff, the Strix satellite was deployed into a circular orbit at an altitude of 337 miles or 543 kilometers above Earth. This launch represents Rocket Lab's 9th mission of 2024 and their 51st mission overall, marking a notable achievement for the company. Additionally, Rocket Lab is advancing efforts to make the Electron rocket's first stage reusable. The company has previously recovered boosters from the ocean and even reflown an engine, demonstrating its commitment to increasing the reusability and efficiency of its launch systems. However, the mission Alpha 1 for Al did not include any planned activities related to booster recovery. Rocket Lab's mission description did not reference a booster recovery effort, and commentators did not discuss this possibility. Despite this, Rocket Lab is making substantial progress toward reaching its goal of 10 flights in 2024. At their current launch rate, averaging more than one mission per month, Rocket Lab surpasses many industry giants such as ULA and Blue Origin in launch frequency. Since its debut in 2017, the Electron rocket has seen a steady increase in launch frequency. In its inaugural year, Rocket Lab conducted just one mission. This number grew to 3 missions in 2018, 6 in 2019, 7 in 2020, 6 in 2021, and 9 in both 2022 and 2023. Rocket Lab is poised to surpass its previous records in 2024, with 5 months remaining in the year. It'll be interesting to see how they continue to push the boundaries in the space sector. Okay, you know what? That's enough. Starliner has consistently failed to meet expectations and has now become a significant liability. Not only has it caused numerous delays, but its ongoing issues may also force NASA to postpone the Dragon Crew 9 schedule. It might be time to reconsider its future and potentially cancel the project. Fortunately, there is some positive news. The recently launched SpaceX Signis NG-21 mission has stabilized after the initial incident. Additionally, the Axiom 4 mission, also managed by SpaceX, has confirmed all crew members and is ready for launch. As you all know, Boeing and NASA are still deeply involved in extensive testing of their propulsion systems and addressing helium leaks. While there is widespread concern for astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams, both agencies maintain optimism that they are on track to bring the Starliner astronauts back safely. Recently, Boeing released an update detailing the numerous activities the company has completed in recent days, perhaps in an attempt to convince NASA to grant more time and to mask its inability to resolve the return issues. However, the broader public is skeptical, as despite their optimistic outlook, they have yet to provide a specific return date. In stark contrast to this ongoing disappointment, SpaceX is actively preparing for crewed missions following the return of Falcon 9. NASA recently announced the launch date for Crew 9 on August 18th. However, there are concerns that NASA might make one of the most questionable decisions in recent years. With less than 2 weeks remaining until this flight, some unofficial sources indicate that the Crew 9 mission might have its schedule postponed. Instead of launching on August 18th, it could be delayed until September 24th. This potential delay is concerning. A shift of over a month from the original schedule raises questions about NASA's plans during this period. In addition to the revised schedule, the Crew 9 mission had previously confirmed its crew members, including NASA astronauts Zena Cardman, Nick Hague, and Stephanie Wilson, along with Roscosmos astronaut Alexander Gorbanov. However, this plan has been disrupted by the continued issues with Starliner on the ISS. Consequently, there may be further changes to the schedule, and instead of 4 astronauts, only 2 might participate in the mission. The reason for this adjustment is likely due to the need to accommodate the 2 Starliner astronauts. There are 2 potential scenarios for this situation. Firstly, when Crew 9 arrives at the ISS, all Crew 8 members could return, allowing the 2 Starliner astronauts to stay and return with Crew 9 early next year. Alternatively, the 2 Starliner astronauts could return with 2 Crew 8 astronauts, leaving the remaining Crew 8 members to stay on the ISS. The first scenario seems more probable, considering that the Crew 8 astronauts have already been on the ISS for about half a year, while the 2 Starliner astronauts have only been there for about 2 months. During this waiting period, NASA and Boeing would need to find a way to resupply the Starliner astronauts. In light of these potential changes, it is crucial to consider the broader implications for mission planning and astronaut logistics. Regarding the schedule delay, many analysts believe that it will provide NASA and Boeing with more time to evaluate Starliner's ability to return. To evaluate Starliner's ability to return. If Starliner can return successfully, Crew 9 will proceed with its full crew. However, if Starliner cannot resolve its issues, Crew 9 may only fly with the 2 members mentioned earlier. The current Starliner delay complicates Crew 9's potential August mission to the ISS. The US module on the ISS has only 2 docking ports, both of which are currently occupied by Dragon Crew 8 and Starliner. According to the direct handover method, the new mission's astronauts must arrive at the ISS before the previous mission's astronauts return. This procedure is difficult to execute given the Starliner delay. In light of this analysis, it is evident that the Starliner delay is causing significant disruptions on the ISS. The most efficient solution might be to discontinue the Starliner project and use Dragon to rescue the 2 astronauts. If you agree with this course of action, please respond with yes in the comments section down below. Despite these ongoing issues, NASA continues to place its trust in Starliner, offering it multiple opportunities. As discussed, they are even willing to delay Dragon's schedule to accommodate Starliner. This decision remains puzzling, given the repeated setbacks and the broader implications for mission planning and astronaut logistics. Let's remember, who was it that helped them regain autonomy on the ISS? Who was there for NASA to maintain supplies and operate the ISS for many years? Dragon. Is NASA being too unfair to its savior? Looking to the future, if Starliner cannot return or returns without astronauts, it might spell the end for the program. Missions like Starliner 1 in late 2025 could become impossible. Failure to complete the current mission means Starliner cannot get launch certification, necessitating more test missions. However, it's unlikely that Starliner will be given more chances under such circumstances. As for Dragon, I hope everything continues smoothly. They have many other missions this year, like Polaris Dawn and Axiom 4. I hope that the delay on the ISS especially doesn't affect Polaris Dawn, the private spacewalk mission we've all been eagerly anticipating. For now, we must wait for updates from NASA. Everything will be confirmed soon, and we'll keep you updated as soon as possible. Please like the video, share it, and also subscribe to our channel to continue following SpaceX's development journey, especially regarding the current ISS missions. Finishing the update related to Starliner and Crew 9, we now move on to another important update on SpaceX's recently launched mission, Cygnus NG-21. In the previous episode, we mentioned that the spacecraft encountered problems on performing burn operations. However, NASA indicated that the ISS docking schedule remained unaffected. In the latest update, it appears that everything is back on track. NASA wrote, the Signis spacecraft has completed 2 delta velocity burns and remains on track for capture by the space station's robotic arm, scheduled for 3:10 a.m. on Tuesday, August 6th. The spacecraft is in a safe trajectory and all other systems are operating normally. Additionally, NASA reported that the Cygnus spacecraft completed the deployment of its 2 solar arrays at 2:21 p.m. the same day. This deployment is crucial as it keeps Cygnus operational despite the earlier issues. Referring to the incident, NASA added, shortly after launch on Sunday, the spacecraft performed as designed by canceling a scheduled engine burn due to a slightly low initial pressure reading flagged by the Signis onboard detection system. Engineers at Northrop Grumman's Mission Control Center in Dulles, Virginia, evaluated the pressure reading, confirmed it was acceptable, and reworked the burn plan to arrive at the space station on the originally planned schedule. This successful troubleshooting and adherence to the schedule demonstrate the robustness and reliability of the Cygnus spacecraft and the teams behind its operation. As planned, when approaching the ISS, Cygnus will be captured by the station's Canadarm2 robotic arm. This arm will be operated by NASA astronaut Matthew Dominic, with NASA astronaut Jeanette Epps acting as a backup. After capture, the spacecraft will be installed on the Unity module's Earth-facing port. It's great to see that this resupply mission is back to normal status. Given the delays from Starliner, this mission is particularly important. With this resupply, the agencies will have more time to address ongoing issues with ISS missions. And finally, we have another update related to Dragon and the ISS, specifically the Axiom 4 mission. In a previous update, we mentioned that an Indian astronaut would participate in this mission. In the latest update, all crew members for the Ax-4 mission have been revealed. According to the Axiom Space website, the crew assigned to Ax-4 includes Commander Peggy Whitson, mission pilot Shibanshu Shukla of India, mission specialist Slowitz Uznansky of ESA/Poland, and mission specialist Tibor Kapu of Hungary. Sorry if I got any of those names horribly wrong. The update also emphasized it is partnering with India through the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, Poland with European Space Agency, support, and Hungary to send 3 national astronauts to the space station on Axiom Mission 4, or AX-4 for short, the company's next commercial human spaceflight mission to the orbiting laboratory. These updates highlight the ongoing international collaboration and progress in space exploration, showcasing how different agencies and nations are working together to achieve their goals in space. The assigned crew members are pending approval to fly to the International Space Station by the Multilateral Crew Operations Panel, or MCOP. MCOP decisions are made in consensus by representatives from all 5 space station international partners: NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency, they added. Currently, the AX-4 crew members have arrived in Houston to begin training with Axiom Space, NASA, and SpaceX. AX-4 will launch to the orbiting laboratory aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket and Dragon spacecraft from Florida, and the crew is expected to spend up to 14 days on the space station. Like previous missions, AX-4 will continue to help astronauts conduct experiments, observe, analyze, and evaluate, thereby accumulating experience to build and operate a private space station in the future to replace the ISS. Axiom missions to date have been supported by SpaceX. And in the future, when Axiom Space builds a space station, SpaceX will likely remain their best choice. Not only for the Axiom Space Station, but also for the construction of other stations, such as the VAST Space Station and Starlab Space Station. Back to the AX-4 mission, if all goes according to plan, this will be SpaceX's 5th crewed mission this year, following AX-3, Crew 8, and the upcoming Crew 9 and Polaris Dawn missions. This demonstrates the superiority of SpaceX's Dragon in sending people into space. Let's wait and see how SpaceX will accomplish its goals in the remainder of this year. Spending hundreds of billions of tax dollars to create projects only to cancel them, NASA is sinking into a black hole of its own making. In this abyss, projects are scrapped as quickly as they are conceived. Even more embarrassingly, initiatives that start with great determination often end due to humiliating reasons, most recently, cost issues. And of all the projects that fit the bill of great cost, greater loss, the SLS, a vehicle that has made significant strides recently but faces numerous cost challenges, comes to mind. In fact, one day it might end like so many other cancelled projects. So why is NASA in this predicament? Should they shut down the SLS soon to avoid further wasting time and resources? Keep in mind, those resources derive from American tax dollars. Let's delve into these questions on today's episode of Great SpaceX. We're all aware that Artemis 2 is scheduled for launch in September of 2025 and hardware preparations are ramping up. That said, recently after a long production period, the core stage of this rocket, known as Pegasus, was transported from the production facility to the Kennedy Space Center. On July 24th, it was unloaded from the barge and moved into the Vehicle Assembly Building, or VAB for short. This prototype is equipped with all 4 RS-25 engines. Other components, including the solid boosters and second stage, are expected to be delivered and assembled soon. Meanwhile, its launch system, known as the Mobile Launcher, is being taken to add other systems, such as crew access arms, engine sound suppression, and other support systems serving the rocket launch process. With these updates, it seems likely that assembly will take place this year, with tests on the complete prototype scheduled for next year before the launch. However, this is NASA, and it's hard to predict if they will still stay on schedule. With just over a year left until the September 2025 launch target, they must complete the prototype assembly soon. This progress is a rare piece of positive news from NASA lately. Even when everything appears ready, there are still many concerns surrounding the SLS. That's because right now we see that Starliner has launched but cannot return due to numerous issues. Initially planned for about a week on the ISS, it's been nearly 2 months and this mission still hasn't concluded. Although NASA and Boeing remain confident that everything is on track, we all know their current problems are quite complicated. So how does Boeing's problem relate to the SLS? Let's not forget that the SLS core stage we just mentioned is manufactured by Boeing. This raises significant doubts about whether in a more complex mission involving the moon, similar risks might arise. The Artemis 2 mission will carry astronauts around the moon, with the core stage accompanying the spacecraft for most of the initial journey. Its impact shouldn't be underestimated. If problems arise while it's operational, the spacecraft deployment could fail. This could resemble the Astrobotic mission earlier this year, where launch issues caused problems with the Peregrine lunar lander. Unlike the Starliner situation, where astronauts have a place to wait for rescue if something goes wrong, a lunar mission is far more dangerous. Finding a safe haven is challenging, and no other vehicles can promptly rescue them. While I don't believe these risks will necessarily materialize, and I hope they don't, my current lack of confidence lies with Boeing's capabilities, and I find that disturbing. But hey, that's only part of the problem with the SLS. Currently, the rocket faces another significant risk: cancellation due to its enormous costs. You might be wondering how such an important project could be canceled. Recent issues indicate this is entirely possible, as NASA has canceled many crucial projects for similar reasons. Most recently, the Chandra telescope, a symbol of space exploration, is dangerously close to its end. Specifically, a NASA committee concluded there is no way to continue operating the Chandra X-ray Observatory at the reduced funding level proposed in NASA's 2025 budget. With NASA's budget set to decrease in the coming years and many expensive projects on the horizon, cost-cutting measures are inevitable. Currently, Chandra's operating cost is $68.3 million, but it will be reduced to $41.1 million next year, and further slashed in subsequent years. By 2029, its operating budget might be reduced to just a mere $5.2 million. With such reduced funding, continuing Chandra's operations will be extremely challenging. Therefore, 4 options have been proposed, with the complete cancellation of the project being considered the most appropriate solution. Other options involve cutting costs by reducing operating time or eliminating certain Chandra modes and instruments. However, these are not feasible, as NASA would still incur costs without receiving satisfactory results in return. Previously, another significant lunar project was canceled: the Viper lunar rover. Scheduled to launch on the Griffin mission later this year by Falcon Heavy, Viper's costs had already reached $450 million. Projections indicated this could rise to $609.5 million by 2025 if not canceled, largely due to delays with $322 million lander Griffin, which likely cannot launch before September of 2025. By canceling the project, NASA expects to save $84 million. Both of these issues stem from NASA's ineffective operations. In the case of the Chandra telescope, the cost shortfall arises from NASA's stubbornness with other projects, such as Hubble. Despite numerous problems, individuals like Isaacman, supported by SpaceX, offered to rescue Hubble at no cost to NASA. However, NASA declined and chose to continue operating the telescope for about another decade, despite its problems, inefficiencies, and high costs. As for Viper, after enduring multiple delays over the years and nearing readiness, it was canceled for reasons that seem unjustifiable. The main issue was, of course, rising costs and future budget overruns. Viper was meant to explore the moon's south pole for water and other resources, which are crucial for future lunar missions. Though it has been officially canceled, there is still hope, as NASA plans on repurposing Viper's instruments and components for other lunar missions. However, this reflects NASA's long-standing mistakes in selecting contractors and managing projects. Both of these projects were highly anticipated and held great promise. Given that SLS is facing similar challenges, one question emerges to the forefront: will it also be canceled? The answer is a resounding yes. Within NASA's system, SLS is likely the most expensive project. Having started development in the early 2010s, the cost of SLS had reached $23.8 billion according to 2022 statistics. And it's likely even higher now. Specifically, developing the rocket cost $11.8 billion, with each launch potentially exceeding $2 billion, and each launch system and mobile launcher costing around $1 billion. In comparison, SpaceX's entire Starship system costs just $5 billion. Let me say that again, $5 billion. Incredible? Amazing? Unbelievable? Yeah, those are just some words to describe SpaceX's cost reduction strategy in the form of reusability. You might recall the GAO report from last year, which famously stated that senior NASA officials told GAO that at current cost levels, the SLS program is unaffordable. Compared to the aforementioned projects, SLS's problems are even more severe and concerning. Although it is intended for lunar exploration, its inefficiencies cannot be overlooked. If these issues persist, it seems likely that SLS could face cancellation. Of course, that will depend on NASA's decision, but right now, I still want to hear your opinion. Do you think the SLS should be cancelled? Let me know with a yes or a no in the comments section down below. Don't forget to leave a like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel to continue following SpaceX's development journey. In addition to cost issues, another factor that could lead to the potential cancellation of the SLS is the availability of alternative rockets ready to fulfill its role, particularly SpaceX's Starship. Beyond the cost advantages I mentioned, Starship outperforms the SLS in several ways. Although the official prototype is still in development, SpaceX has made significant progress with Starship HLS, or Human Landing System. This includes testing elevators and building and evaluating simulated airlock systems. Compared to the SLS, Starship holds significantly greater potential. While the SLS is primarily designed for lunar missions, Starship offers versatility for various applications, including Earth-to-Earth transportation and Mars colonization. In general, Starship's development potential far exceeds that of the SLS despite its lower cost. If NASA were to reallocate SLS's investment to Starship, they could develop a more cost-effective and capable vehicle for a wide range of future missions, not just lunar exploration. In terms of general progress, SpaceX has made impressive strides with Starship in just over a year. They've successfully conducted 4 missions, including the historic achievement of landing both stages of the rocket for the first time. Bear in mind that although the first 3 integrated flight tests resulted in RUDs, or rapid unscheduled disassembly, it doesn't take away the fact that the data gathered from each sequential mission were the building blocks to the Starship system's current iteration. Learning from your mistakes is definitely the fastest way to learn, and SpaceX does not shy away from failure. Given their track record, it's highly likely that SpaceX will accomplish even more in the coming years, surpassing what NASA could achieve with SLS within the same budget and timeframe. In short, NASA is grappling with significant issues stemming from their own missteps. It might be time for them to step back and allow more advanced vehicles and talented innovators like SpaceX's Starship to take the lead. This approach could pave the way for faster, cheaper, and more efficient space exploration. If you agree, hit that like button if you haven't already. A significant breakthrough marks the dawn of a new era in space exploration. Much like the Big Bang, the Life Inflatable Module, a pivotal component of future space stations, has sent shockwaves throughout the aerospace industry. Sierra Space, the developer of this celestial station prototype, has recently made remarkable strides with this innovative project, signaling its readiness to revolutionize technology within the same realm. And that's all well and good, but what specific advancements has this system achieved? How will it shape the future of space exploration exactly? In simple terms, what is Sierra Space bringing to the already extraordinary spread on the table of cosmic pioneering? As I mentioned, Sierra Space's inflatable station system boasts a truly unique design. The creation, testing, and future construction of this particular system are all but standard or commonplace. Currently, the system is in the testing phase, and we have repeatedly witnessed its rigorous evaluations. Unlike any other system, it is inflated until it explodes to determine its limits, allowing Sierra Space to make necessary improvements. Recently, Sierra Space announced the results of the second full-scale burst test, conducted with a model equivalent to the future system. According to their report, this test took place on June 18th. But it goes without saying that preparations leading up to this test were many months in the making. After the first full-scale test last December, Sierra Space announced plans for an additional structural test this year. By early May, their 1-to-1 full-scaled expandable prototype was ready for the second full-on structural test that was just mentioned. In another equally eminent disclosure, the way the protective plates are shaped and fitted was improved, how different parts connect and work together was also upgraded, and the process of making, putting together, and fitting it all has been made efficient, smoother, and seamless. By mid-June, the company completed the addition of the soft goods integration instrumentation, or basically adding all the flexible parts to the sturdy ones, along with painting and photogrammetry preparation. With that last part, I was curious and did a little research on it, and it turns out that it has something to do with extracting data from 2D or 3D models. How exciting. After all said and done, it was transported to the test stand at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. That was the preparation, and now it's time to burst the bubble. We can observe the testing process through the video provided by Sierra Space. To make it even more impressive, Sierra Space has presented the video in slow motion. How do you feel watching it? Let's take a look one more time. After witnessing those moments, what everyone is keen to know are the test results. This test yielded remarkable results, with the module bursting at a pressure of 74 psi, or pounds per square inch. This exceeds NASA's recommended safety level of 60.8 psi by an impressive 22%. The outcome closely aligns with the previous record of 77 psi achieved during the first ultimate burst pressure test conducted last December. Sierra Space highlighted that this recent result falls within 5% of the prior test's margin, marking up to a 27% increase, further substantiating the scalability of this technology. These findings provide a robust foundation for the system's development into larger, more advanced versions, which we will explore in the next section. Another notable feature of the module is the steel blanking plates measuring 4 by 4 feet or 1.2 by 1.2 meters, which have shown significant improvements. These structures were integrated into the highest load cylinder section of the module and were 50 pounds lighter than those used in the first full-scale test, while also accommodating larger windows. Post-test images revealed that the blanking plate remained largely intact, demonstrating its resilience when the entire module was inflated to a size much larger than its original dimensions. These test results have further bolstered Sierra Space's confidence in their system. Sean Buckley, the vice president leading the module's development, remarked, "We've taken a soft goods system that very few companies around the world have been able to design, and now we have consistent, back-to-back results. A second successful full-scale test is an absolute game-changer. We know it's possible to equal or surpass the total habitable volume of the entire International Space Station in a single launch." With this test, Sierra Space has nearly completed the basic testing phase for their inflatable module system. However, further developments and enhancements are still on the horizon. According to the company's earlier announcements, they plan to test designs in the coming years that could surpass the size of the International Space Station in a single launch, as Buckley stated. With the success of the second test, preparations for these larger designs are now underway. Beyond just increasing the size, I'm also eager to see the internal systems within this module. The recent test showcased a model with the Vectron shell, but I'm curious about the module's interior, including the urethane bag, padding layer, and possibly internal facilities. These advancements will bring Sierra Space closer to NASA's launch certification. Additionally, the choice of a launch vehicle for this system is a critical next step. Given their partnership in Orbital Reef, many speculate it will be launched on Blue Origin's New Glenn. Alternatively, it could be launched aboard the Dream Chaser on ULA's Vulcan rocket. Blue Origin's current plan indicates that the Orbital Reef Station is expected to be operational by 2027, meaning all systems must be ready and enter the construction phase by 2025 and 2026. As part of this project, Sierra Space's inflatable module will adhere to this timeline. But with the development of these vehicles still being uncertain, Sierra Space might want to consider a more reliable option, such as SpaceX's Falcon rockets. Partnering with SpaceX could be advantageous, as many other private space stations, including Starlab, Vast, and Axiom Space, are planning to launch on Falcon 9 rockets. The compact design of Sierra Space's system allows it to be easily accommodated within any payload bay, which would facilitate its launch and subsequent inflation in space. This approach could enable Sierra Space to complete their system with just a few flights, while benefiting from the Falcon rocket's affordability and minimizing construction costs. Moreover, a partnership with SpaceX could provide access to Dragon, one of the most advanced crewed vehicles currently available for resupply missions to the space station. Do you agree with this perspective? Let me know with a yes or a no in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on SpaceX's ongoing developments. In addition to these considerations, the recent test has revealed exciting potential for the inflatable module system. The current module, with a volume of approximately 285 cubic meters, about 1/3 the size of the ISS, has a height of 20 feet or 6.1 meters, roughly equivalent to the size of an average family home. Future versions could possess capabilities beyond our imagination. If the current capabilities of Sierra Space's inflatable module impress you, prepare to be amazed by the potential of future iterations. Sierra Space has revealed that they are working on game-changing soft goods expandable technology designed to maximize on-orbit volume. This technology allows the module to be compacted for launch and then expanded to its full size in space. The Life 2.0 version, currently under development, measures 16.2 meters in length and 15 meters in diameter, yielding a volume of 2,645 cubic meters, 9 times larger than that of the current version. This would make it double the size of the International Space Station, but even more impressive is the forthcoming Life 3.0 version, which is set to be 22 meters long, 19 meters in diameter, and provide a staggering 5,378 cubic meters of volume. This would be twice the size of Life 2.0 and 18 times larger than the current module. The potential applications for such a large structure are extraordinary. The current version of the module can already be configured with 3 floors to comfortably house 4 astronauts, with additional space for scientific experiments, exercise equipment, a medical center, and even a garden system for growing fresh produce. The overall design for this module system is detailed in the orbital reef diagram, showcasing its capabilities for long-duration space missions. With the Life 3.0 version, the module's capacity will be able to accommodate more than 70 astronauts. This represents an incredible leap in space habitation potential. Such a large module could not only serve research purposes, but also support space tourism activities, opening up exciting new opportunities for the industry. Given the module's expandable design, Sierra Space might even consider developing its own space station. This would allow them to be more proactive and potentially gain greater benefits, especially considering the slower progress of their current partner, Blue Origin. The inflatable nature of the module also means it can be assembled quickly with just a few launches, further enhancing its appeal. Another aspect Sierra Space should explore is integrating a robust internet system into the module. SpaceX's Starlink, a leading satellite internet constellation, could be a valuable addition. By incorporating a strong internet network, Sierra Space could improve communication, research efficiency, and overall astronaut living conditions. The vast space station is already pioneering this approach, and Sierra Space would do well to follow suit. As we move into 2024, the end of the International Space Station's era is approaching. While it is sad to see the ISS conclude its remarkable journey, there is hope and excitement for new space stations like Sierra Space's inflatable Life module system. This transition marks the beginning of a new era, where space exploration could become more accessible and even a playground for more people. If you share this vision, start preparing now for the exciting future that lies ahead. Finally, the day has come. The last vestiges of Russia are being wiped out of the US aerospace system. This marks the beginning of a new era. SpaceX will benefit immensely from this change the most out of anybody, of course, and immediately following this important milestone, they received a valuable contract from the US military, highlighting their pivotal role in the near future. In the last century, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the US and Russian aerospace industries maintained a close relationship. This inadvertently allowed Russian technology to penetrate the US aerospace sector, leading to a prolonged dependence on Russia for space missions. A notable example is the Atlas rocket family, which switched to using the RD-180 engine in the mid-1990s. However, entering the new century, things changed. As a leading aerospace power, the US became increasingly determined to end this dependence, especially as relations with Russia deteriorated. The US reliance on Russia to send astronauts to the ISS in the previous decade was deemed unacceptable. In 2020, a pivotal turning point occurred. SpaceX, with its Crew Dragon, helped the US regain autonomy in sending crews to the ISS. The only remaining remnant of Russian dependence was the RD-180 engine used in the Atlas V rocket. Now, that last echo of a bygone era has also come to an end. While not a complete end, it signifies the end of Russian involvement in US government contracts and operations. Specifically, on July 30th, the Atlas V rocket successfully launched the USSF-51 mission for the government and military under the National Security Space Launch Contract. According to the schedule, this marks the final mission of the Atlas V rocket in ULA's primary market, launching government and military payloads. While this rocket has 15 more missions planned, they are all private missions, including Boeing's Starliner, Amazon's Kuiper, and Viasat satellites. For the US government and military, this marks the closing of a chapter, an era written in ink, now bound and shelved. This milestone is a significant step towards completely eliminating Russian technology from the US aerospace industry. The complete phase-out will culminate in about 6 years, specifically with the final Atlas V mission in 2030. However, the recent Atlas V mission can already be seen as the beginning of a new chapter. This new era will see US companies, both government and private, relying solely on technology they have developed themselves. We now have several notable rockets, including NASA's SLS, ULA's Vulcan, and Rocket Lab's Electron. In the future, Blue Origin's New Glenn will also join this roster, and of course we must mention the current flagships of SpaceX's orbital fleet, Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, and Starship. For the US, this is undoubtedly a positive development. The country will no longer be reliant on external sources for rocket development. Free from these constraints, this is the time for aerospace technology to flourish. This sets the stage for the US to remain competitive in the upcoming race against various challengers, particularly China. Are you ready to witness this ever-exciting competition? If so, please leave an American flag icon in the comment section to show your support. And as I've said at the beginning, among all organizations, SpaceX stands to benefit the most. They have never been dependent on Russian technology. While other organizations might struggle to adapt after the end of the old era, SpaceX will simply continue advancing their existing technologies. The gap between SpaceX and its competitors may widen even further in the coming years. Right after this important milestone, SpaceX received some more good news from the USSF contract. As part of the NSSL Phase 2 contract, SpaceX will now receive an additional $661 million US, bringing the total amount they have received to $4 billion. The reason for this additional funding is the increase in the number of missions from 34 to 49. Previously, the count was 48, but the USSF added a USSF 95 mission for ULA in July. While SpaceX received a substantial amount, ULA also benefited financially. However, for ULA, this may not be a positive sign, and I'll tell you why in just a bit. This increase will help maintain SpaceX's dominant position in the military payload launch market and provide a strong foundation for completing the remaining missions based on their capabilities. The Falcon 9 has surpassed the 350th launch mark, and the annual number of flights is steadily increasing with a target of 148 missions this year. While the Falcon Heavy launches less frequently, it plays a crucial role in SpaceX's system. SpaceX's rockets, with their ability to land and be reused, offer a significant competitive advantage over other organizations. Despite the general optimism in the industry, ULA, the organization that ended the presence of Russian technology, doesn't seem to share the same enthusiasm. In April, the Delta IV Heavy, a symbol of ULA and the US aerospace industry, was retired. Now, with only 15 flights remaining, the Atlas V serves as the final representation of the company's old rocket system. Although not officially retired, the Atlas V's role in the government and military markets has concluded, with all such missions transitioning to their new rocket, the Vulcan Centaur. This transition poses significant challenges for ULA. After a successful Vulcan launch earlier this year, ULA confidently announced their readiness to compete against any challenger. However, as of August, ULA has yet to launch a second mission. This delay is partly due to the Dream Chaser's setbacks. but also stems from ULA's previous customer selection missteps. Consequently, they are now scrambling to organize a second flight with a dummy payload to secure military and government launch certification from the Pentagon. Regarding overall progress, the Vulcan rocket has faced numerous delays. Initially scheduled for launch in 2019, it only completed its debut mission earlier this year. These delays have disrupted many plans and affected the continuation of operations with ULA's previous rockets. Remember, Vulcan is not a rocket that can be produced quickly. ULA made a bold move in abandoning the Russian engine for the new rocket, opting for the Blue Origin BE-4 instead. However, the BE-4 is notorious for its delays. Additionally, the BE-4 is not only used for Vulcan but also for New Glenn, slowing the supply frequency for ULA even further. Consequently, even once operational, increasing the launch frequency for Vulcan will be challenging for ULA. This poses a significant disadvantage compared to their biggest competitor, SpaceX. Beyond the slow production and launch rates, Vulcan is not reusable, contrary to the current trend, which is another disadvantage in the next generation space race. These issues collectively point to a bleak future for ULA. The backlog of missions under the NSSL contract is significant, and unlike before, nothing can help Vulcan at this time. The deadline for NSSL Phase 2 is 2026, leaving little time for Vulcan to catch up. On a financial note, ULA received up to $1.1 billion in addition to their existing funds, bringing the total to $4.5 billion, similar to SpaceX. However, this influx may not be sufficient to address the inherent challenges Vulcan faces. Honestly, when compared to SpaceX, I see a strong resemblance to the Commercial Crew Program contract. A company with poor achievements is favored more. Will ULA and Vulcan fall into Boeing and Starliner's current situation? Let me know with a yes or a no in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to our channel to continue following SpaceX's development journey. With the additional funding from the USSF, the pressure to complete the mission will be even higher for Vulcan. When the backlog in Phase 2 has not been resolved, ULA continues to be selected for Phase 3, which lasts from 2025 to 2029. In this phase, besides ULA, their familiar competitors SpaceX and a new player, Blue Origin, will also participate. Overall, this is a significant opportunity for the three organizations. This Phase 3 contract will be worth up to $5.6 billion US. This announcement pertains only to Lane 1 of this phase, which will have at least 30 missions. Clearly, based on current performances, SpaceX is likely to dominate the launch rate due to their superiority and the weakness of ULA and Blue Origin. We analyzed ULA's problems in the previous part, and as for Blue Origin, well, they've never reached orbit, and their new rocket, New Glenn, hasn't even flown yet. If SpaceX's mission numbers exceed ULA's in this phase, it'll signify SpaceX officially surpassing ULA in a market that ULA itself has long dominated. This shift will mark a pivotal moment in the aerospace industry, illustrating a clear transition of leadership. The end of Russian influence on US rockets signals a new era for the aerospace sector. The industry is set to experience accelerated technological advancements and increased self-reliance. As US companies leverage their own innovations, SpaceX is positioned to remain at the forefront, driving future progress and maintaining its role as the country's leading space exploration entity. On the other hand, ULA faces numerous challenges. Their ability to catch up hinges on the timely deployment of Vulcan. If ULA fails to overcome these hurdles, their future in the market could be jeopardized. The coming months will be critical in determining whether they can adapt and thrive, or if their time under the sun will come to an end. Well folks, that's about it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, this has been Kevin from Great SpaceX. Until next time, keep looking up.